Step into sci-fi codes where mystery meets imagination. Enjoy the journey, and don't forget to subscribe. Chapter 1: The Arrival. The Imperial scout ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system, its sleek hull gleaming under the distant light of a yellow star. Automated sensors scanned the celestial bodies, quickly identifying the 9 planets in orbit. Most were lifeless, mere barren rocks or swirling gas giants. But the third planet was different. Blue oceans covered its surface, dotted with green and brown landmasses. White clouds swirled in intricate patterns, hinting at a dynamic atmosphere. It was teeming with life. Lieutenant Reese, the ship's lead analyst, peered at the data streaming across his console. Oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, stable hydrosphere, evidence of intelligent life. They call it Earth. Commander Reed, a veteran of countless exploratory missions, leaned back in his chair, assessing the preliminary reports. Standard procedure. Observe, analyze, and report back to High Command. If they pose no immediate threat, we initiate the integration process. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain James Smith of the Earth Defense Force watched through advanced telescopes hidden within the asteroid belt. His team had detected the ship's arrival 3 days earlier, and every move of the intruders was being tracked in real time. He smirked. The Empire believed itself undetected, but humanity had been waiting for this moment. For over a century, Earth had anticipated the arrival of an interstellar force. Its people had studied the stars, deciphering faint transmissions and constructing an elaborate deception. To the galaxy, Earth appeared technologically primitive, its civilization bound to a single planet, its weapons outdated. But beneath the surface, in underground bases and hidden installations, humanity's true military strength lay in wait. Captain Smith activated the encrypted channel. Phase 1 is in motion. Maintain observation. Do not engage until the Council gives the order. Chapter 2: The Watchers. For 2 weeks, the Imperial scout ship orbited Earth, gathering intelligence. Its cloaking technology allowed it to move undetected, or so the crew believed. They intercepted radio signals, monitored global communications, and analyzed the movement of satellites and spacecraft. By all appearances, Earth was a pre-FTL society, lacking the technology to pose a significant threat. Commander Reed compiled his findings into a report. Technology level, pre-FTL. Military threat, minimal. Space capability, limited to orbital and lunar travel. Recommended course of action, standard diplomatic contact, followed by integration. Lieutenant Reese hesitated. Sir, some of the intercepted transmissions are peculiar. They discuss theories of extraterrestrial life and even interstellar war scenarios. Their entertainment media is filled with depictions of alien invasions. Could they be more prepared than they seem? Reed chuckled. Mere fiction. Primitive societies often imagine threats greater than they are. It is the nature of the weak to dream of strength. But deep below the Earth's surface, hidden in fortified command centers, humanity watched back. Advanced AI-driven systems tracked every movement of the Imperial ship. Data analysts scrutinized its patterns, cross-referencing with intelligence gathered over decades. The illusion of weakness had to be perfect. Aboard the command station beneath Cheyenne Mountain, General Roberts studied the latest readings. They're following the usual pattern, he muttered. They think they're invisible. They believe we're ignorant. President Anderson, seated at the head of the United Earth Council, tapped his fingers on the table. And when they make their move? Roberts smiled grimly. Then, we spring the trap. Chapter 3: First Contact. The Empire's first official transmission came exactly as Earth's analysts had predicted. A massive Imperial warship exited hyperspace in high orbit, dwarfing Earth's largest space stations. Its hull shimmered with the insignia of the Galactic Empire, an unmistakable declaration of authority. A broad-spectrum message was transmitted in multiple languages. People of Earth, we come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Empire. We offer protection, guidance, and the privilege of joining our great civilization. Prepare your leaders for diplomatic contact. Across the planet, reactions varied. Ordinary citizens watched in awe and fear as news networks broadcasted the message on an endless loop. Governments scrambled to respond, some calling for cooperation, others for resistance. In the underground chambers of the United Earth Council, there was only cold calculation. General Roberts studied the holographic map of Earth's defenses. They assume we'll be awed by their size and strength. They expect us to surrender. President Anderson nodded. And they always win because they target civilizations that don't expect invasion. Worlds unlike Earth. But Earth was not like the others. It had never been conquered. Its people had fought for every inch of progress, and they would not submit without a fight. Chapter 4: The Ambassador. Humanity had spent decades crafting a deception so complete that even the Empire's advanced sensors were fooled. While displaying only rudimentary space technology, Earth had secretly developed advanced warships, planetary defenses, and deep space battle stations hidden within the asteroid belt. Ambassador James Miller was selected to meet the Imperial delegation. His appearance was deliberate: an older man, gray-haired and dignified, chosen to reinforce the image of a primitive, bureaucratic species. He was neither young nor imposing, his demeanor calm and unthreatening. When Miller arrived at the neutral diplomatic site in Geneva, 5 Imperial representatives were waiting. Clad in elaborate uniforms, they radiated arrogance and superiority. Lord Voss, the lead diplomat, barely acknowledged Miller's presence before launching into his prepared speech. "We are pleased you accepted our invitation for peaceful contact. The Empire brings civilization and order. Your integration will be seamless if you cooperate." Miller listened patiently, hands folded on the table. The Empire's representative spoke as if Earth had no choice, as if history had already been written. When they finished, he simply smiled, a cold, knowing smile. "We've studied your empire for decades," Miller said. "We know your conquests, your tactics, your weaknesses. You've never fought a species like us." For the first time, the Imperial delegates hesitated. This was not the reaction they were used to. They had expected awe, fear, and submission. Instead, they saw something else: confidence. Miller leaned forward. "We give you one warning, the same warning we've given every would-be conqueror in our history: run." Chapter 5: The Warning. Lord Voss sat in his dimly lit chamber aboard the Imperial dreadnought Veilstrom, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. A sea of holographic displays flickered before him, casting an eerie glow on his hardened face. The data was clear: Earth was classified as a Category 4 civilization, primitive, disorganized, and technologically inferior. But something gnawed at him. He had personally interrogated Captain Miller, the captured human officer, and the man's final words echoed in his mind. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. Run while you still can." Miller had laughed as he spoke, even as his face was bruised and bloodied. It wasn't arrogance, nor was it desperation. It was certainty. Voss had witnessed countless prisoners break under interrogation. Miller had only grown more confident. He switched the display to footage from long-range probes stationed near the Sol system. There was nothing remarkable: no vast shipyards, no heavily armed battle stations, no indicators of a civilization capable of standing against the Galactic Empire. And yet, intelligence officers had begun reporting inconsistencies. Data gaps. Strange fluctuations in energy signatures. It was as if Earth's defenses had been deliberately masked, hidden beneath a veil of normalcy. "Are we walking into a trap?" Voss muttered to himself. He had raised concerns with the High Command, but they dismissed them. Humanity, they claimed, was barely capable of interstellar travel. Their ships were crude, their fleets scattered. What could they possibly do against the might of the Empire? Voss was ordered to proceed as planned, to send a fleet to Earth and demonstrate Imperial dominance. Still, doubts lingered. He had read accounts of the Terran conflicts, their endless wars against each other, their relentless drive to adapt and overcome. Even their mythology was filled with stories of defiance against impossible odds. Humanity, it seemed, was defined not by their strength, but by their refusal to yield. Voss knew one thing: they had underestimated species before, and it had always led to drawn-out, costly wars. He needed more information. He ordered his intelligence division to dig deeper, to scour every intercepted transmission, every trace of Terran military activity. What he found unsettled him even further. The reports detailed missing ships, classified projects, and unexplained anomalies. Earth had secrets the Empire was blind to. But the fleet had already been dispatched. There was no turning back now. Chapter 6: The Trap. The Imperial fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 100 warships strong, their sleek hulls reflecting the pale blue light of Earth below. Admiral Varus, a seasoned commander, stood on the bridge of the Imperator, gazing down at the planet with detached confidence. Their orders were simple: demand immediate surrender and, if refused, cripple Earth's military infrastructure. Begin orbital descent, Varus commanded. Prepare the shock teams. As the fleet moved closer, strange anomalies began appearing on their sensors, faint energy readings, distortions in local spacetime. Before anyone could react, the first explosion rocked the fleet. A dozen cloaked orbital defense platforms powered up, their positions previously concealed by cutting-edge stealth technology. Beams of concentrated plasma lanced through the void, cutting through Imperial warships like knives through flesh. The Empire had expected planetary resistance, but this? This was an ambush. On Earth's surface, hidden military bases activated long-dormant railguns, launching hypervelocity projectiles into orbit. Satellites, seemingly civilian in nature, transformed into kinetic weapon platforms, sending metal rods raining down onto the fleet at devastating speeds. The first wave of Imperial ships suffered catastrophic losses. Admiral Varus gritted his teeth. Deploy the assault wings. We will burn this world to the ground. But humanity was prepared. As the Empire's dropships descended, they encountered electronic warfare unlike anything they had faced before. Entire squadrons vanished from Imperial comms, their navigation systems hijacked, sending them spiraling into one another. The few that broke through the interference were met with an enemy that fought not with sheer numbers, but with ruthless precision. Specialized Terran strike teams, clad in adaptive combat armor, engaged the Empire's elite troops in brutal close-quarters combat. They moved like wraiths, their weapons devastatingly effective. Each human soldier was outnumbered, but their tactics were unpredictable, their ingenuity unmatched. In orbit, the Empire's once mighty fleet found itself being dismantled piece by piece. Human warships, smaller and more maneuverable, exploited every weakness in the Imperial formations. They used asteroid belts as cover, executed unpredictable hyperspace jumps, and wielded AI-driven battle strategies that adapted in real time. Admiral Varus watched in horror as his forces crumbled. This wasn't a mere resistance. This was a meticulously orchestrated counteroffensive. Humanity had been preparing for this war long before the Empire had even considered them a threat. On the surface, Captain Miller stood atop a reinforced bunker, watching the sky burn with Imperial wreckage. He smirked and whispered, "We warned you." Chapter 7: The Reckoning. The chaos of battle raged above and below Earth's atmosphere, but the tide had turned. Imperial forces, once confident in their technological superiority, were now in retreat, forced to abandon their initial strategy. The delicate, synchronized formations of the fleet had shattered into disarray, with half of their ships either crippled or lost in the unrelenting onslaught from the Terran defenses. Admiral Varus gripped the armrests of his command chair, his knuckles white with rage. "Prepare the final wave. We will not falter," he ordered, though his voice lacked the resolute authority it once held. His thoughts churned with disbelief. How could humanity have hidden such a strength for so long? On Earth's surface, Captain Miller's voice crackled over the comms. "Admiral, we've neutralized their drop zones. The remaining assault wings are scattered and taking heavy losses. The Empire's about to collapse in orbit." Varus growled, his mind racing for a way out. Earth's defenses had far exceeded their expectations, but there was one option left. "Initiate Phase 2, he commanded coldly. "Deploy the Echelon Protocol." The Imperator, the flagship of the fleet, shifted its position in space, revealing a monstrous weapon hidden beneath its hull, an immense, planet-destroying device, one capable of ripping apart the very core of a planet if activated. Varys's hands hovered over the activation controls, hesitation battling his orders. Earth had become a symbol of defiance, and if he couldn't conquer it, he would leave it in ruins. "Activate the weapon," Varys said firmly. His voice was filled with icy resolve, but beneath it, there was the quiet sting of regret. Back on Earth, Miller's team watched as the skies above darkened with the shadow of the fleet's final gambit. They had known the Empire would resort to this last desperate measure. The countdown to the planet's annihilation had begun. "Prepare the countermeasure," Miller ordered his team, setting his jaw. They had no choice now but to fight until the very end. No surrender. No retreat. Earth would not fall today. Inside their underground facility, the last of Earth's hope rested on a single, experimental weapon, an energy disruptor capable of shutting down any planetary-scale weapon. The team raced against the clock, knowing that even the smallest miscalculation could lead to total annihilation. As the device powered up, Captain Miller watched the massive shadow of the Imperial flagship loom larger in the atmosphere. He tightened his grip on his rifle and turned to his team. "This is it, folks. Time to show them what humanity is really capable of." The countdown clock blinked. The energy disruptor hummed, its core pulsing with power. With a sudden surge, Miller and his team launched the disruptor into space, locking onto the Imperator's weapon core. The beam of energy shot into the heavens like a spear of light. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with an explosion of blinding light, the weapon's energy signature began to flicker. The immense power of the Imperator's planetary weapon began to crumble, its systems spiraling into chaos. The countdown halted. The Echelon Protocol was undone. The Empire's forces, scattered and leaderless, began their retreat. What was left of their warships fled back into hyperspace, their mission a failure. Varys's face contorted with disbelief. His command had failed. The weapon that was meant to ensure victory had been foiled by a single, unified effort from a species he had once dismissed as weak. On the surface, Captain Miller watched as the last of the Imperial fleet vanished into the depths of space. Earth was safe, for now. The sky cleared, revealing a flickering, fragile piece that would be cherished for generations. Miller exhaled deeply. The fight had been brutal, but humanity had emerged victorious. "We warned you," Miller muttered again, as the remnants of the Empire's shattered forces faded from view. And though the war was over, Earth's warriors knew this victory came with a heavy cost. The Empire would never forget the lessons learned here today. But neither would Earth. Ready for more? Like, subscribe, and let's keep exploring the unknown together.